Okay, I wanted to do, and as I had said that I would, here is a tutorial on Fibonacci's, how I use Fibonacci's to help me to get my wave targets, even though I'm almost always eyeballing my wave lengths when I draw it. And I just wanted to give a quick overview of Fibonacci and then go into some real examples of how I use it. So I have got some PowerPoints lined up here. So Fibonacci was the work of Leonardo Pisano Bergoglio. He lived from, I think, 1170 to 1250. Good, ripe old age life at that time. And they every day called him Fibonacci, which in Italian means son of Bonacci. Okay. And he defined a sequence of numbers. And there's a rule to it. And it's very simple. So you begin with 0, 1. You add the 1 prior to it. So 1 plus 0, 1. 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. I'm on the wrong line, I'm sorry. 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 repeats, 1 plus 1. 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. So on, so on, so on, to infinity. And that is what a Fibonacci sequence is identified, calculated. And there is a formula to this. X to the sub n is equal to x to sub n minus 1, the number before, plus the number before it as well. Just like what I was doing. 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. That is what this formula is really putting out. I'm sorry, this formula. And I got this from the Math is Fun site. My daughter uses this site. Now, Fibonacci sequence ratio, the golden ratio, 0.618 is applicable anywhere, and the inverse of that is 1.618. You can find Fibonacci in the spiral of a shell, orientation of a flower, spiral of our galaxies, the helix of even our DNA strands, the orientation spiral of sunflower seeds, even that of our ear is optimally designed according to Fibonacci ratio. And these spirals are really just quarter of a circle within a square. And that quarter of a circle within a square, proportional square, enables phenomenal consistency in the orientation and the spiral. So the golden ratio is found in everything, at all scales and depths and levels of our physical world. And this golden ratio, everything we know here in this world, nothing escapes it. Nothing, not even at the level of atoms, not even at the immensity scale of universe, galaxies. Physics are bound by it. Protein-protein enzymatic interactions, creation of cells, separation of DNA molecules during metaphase to anaphase stages of mitosis. The translation of DNA sequence into mRNA is also ruled by the Fibonacci golden ratio. The mitochondria, the inner membrane of the mitochondria and its foldings, where the cytochromes are to generate the Krebs cycle for the ATP generation, is also modulated by the Krebs cycle. So all of these examples should drive home to the fact. Now here is an essay that I put out yesterday explaining what I see technical analysis as and why I believe it works. And if you've been able to peruse this, I think it gives you a insight into my brain and my thoughts as to why I am absolutely convinced that technical analysis begets fundamental analysis, and trying to mix the two is very dangerous. And because technical analysis begets fundamental analysis, using both becomes apples to oranges. And even though it's sequential, it is not an ordered sequence. So you can't think technical analysis begets fundamental. Okay, I'll use both, but I'll say technical analysis as first and then fundamental analysis. It's not as linear as it is, as you might want it to be. And as a result, that'll lead to a conundrum. So technical analysis, really, in my opinion, is a quantum event, as shown by the E is equal to mc squared. And I go through a litany of rationale, but it really boils down to sentiment. Excuse me. Sentiment drives everything in prices. And technical analysis is a mere tool to measure the reflection of sentiment. The reflection of sentiment, that being price actions. And sentiment in itself exists in a dual form, fear and greed. And these together interplay and reflect the actions of the price in a chart that you might see. And that is what we are trying to use, a price chart. So let me get rid of. Here is spread coin. I'll use this as an example. And what I'll do, therefore, is I'll first label these, the first one of the Elliott waves. Like that. And we know that with Elliott waves, after 5 waves, there is a retracement. And what you can do is then pull out the retracement Fibonacci chart. And I label it from the bottom of the wave 1 to the top of wave 5. Okay. This tells me that from here, the retracement process, how far it goes. Look at this. It pretty much landed at 0.618 at the golden ratio so far. That's beautiful. There are certain inherent attributes of Elliott wave that can help guide you as to how far this retracement can be. Let's temporarily take that off so I can see better. Let's look at these waves again. I have wave 1, 2, look how long 3 is. 3 is extended. So when wave 3 is extended, 4 and 5, wave 4 and 5 are usually 0.618 combined, 4 and 5, from bottom of 4 to top of 5 is 0.618 of wave 3 that's extended. So let's see. If wave 3 is from here, actually, you know what? Better way to do is go to 4, draw a vertical line equal to wave 5. Take that and put it right next to wave 3. Okay, so this white line is the length of wave 5. And then I'm going to go to the bottom of wave 2, which is the start of wave 3. Come on. To the top of wave 5. Now here in the example, I said to you, if wave 3 is extended, 4 and 5 are usually 0.618 of 3. But it doesn't land in this case at exactly 0.618. It goes in between. That's what I hadn't mentioned before. Fibonacci ratios is not a absolute precision-based requirement. It's within the range. It has a variance. Okay, so 0.618, the golden ratio, but that doesn't mean it has to be exactly at 0.618. That's why I started eyeballing everything instead of going through and taking all the time to measure it precisely. Because I realized more often than not, it lands in between than on it. Okay, but still it is a good guide. Then if it passes it, you can expect 0.786. But it didn't happen in this case for the wave 5. Now let's go back to the correction. I often said that when you get after 5 waves, the correction goes to the price region of prior wave 4 right here. And sure enough, that's where it is right now. If I draw this again, wrong bottom, stuff in the bottom of 1. There you go. So now it's sitting on the 0.618, which equals to wave 4 region, and that's not an accident either. That is not an accident. That is why I often say wave ABC goes to the price region. And again, for this, I give a variance factor from the top of wave 4 right here to the bottom of wave 4. This variation. So anyway, here will be okay. It actually went slightly below it. It actually went even here slightly below 0.618. Again, that's why I eyeball the whole thing. So in this case, when I'm eyeballing the ABC, let's say none of this data price came in, we're at top of 5 only, you don't see any of this data. And if I had to draw a ABC, I would go something like, but I would keep my eye to where this wave 4 is and go somewhere to that level. I don't need a Fibonacci chart because I know where the wave 4 is. And I'm going to bring the C to the region of wave 4, often to the bottom of wave 4. Okay. This is when wave 3 is extended, usually wave 1 and 5 are the same. But in this case, that's clearly not true. So let's see if we can do how many-fold in Fibonacci ratio wave 5 is to wave 1 here. So I'm going to draw a line to the height, and I'm going to bring this to from the bottom of 4, copy and paste that line. I would say just by eyeball, that would be, so 1.786 of wave 1, which would be Fibonacci. So let's see. So 1.6, 786 is about there. Okay. Now get rid of this. Ha! Put it on close. So well within 1.76 variance. Okay, so that's one way. I always said also that waves 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5 are interrelated by Fibonacci ratios too. So let's take a blank here. What if wave, and you might want to take notes on this, or just keep watching the video repeatedly to, what if you have something like this? Where wave 1 is extended. A big wave 1 extension. Then wave 2, from 2 to 5, it should be usually 0.618 of that extended wave 1. So let's take our measuring stick, go to the bottom, vertical line to the top of 5. Bring this to the bottom of 1, the lower. Okay. Then I take Fibonacci, wrong way. So it should be up to here. Okay, but it's gone way past 0.786. So let's redraw this. I'm sorry, I just wanted to give. That is one of the rules, or not the rules, sorry, guidelines. If wave 1 is extended, if you see wave 1 extending, then you're going to see that 2, 3, and 4 combined together will be usually 0.618 of 1. Okay. Doesn't hit it exactly, but that's the guideline that you can have. The other guideline from a Fibonacci point of view, on a non-extended wave 1 is that then wave 2 wave 2 is usually 0.5 where it is right now, or wave, if usually in a 1-2 relationship on a Fibonacci, wave 2 is 0.5, retraces 50% of wave 1. The next common area is obviously wave 2 retraces 0.618 of wave 1. That's the most usual common retracement points for wave 2. So for wave 1 into relationship, after you're done with one, wave 2 retraces 50% usually. The next most frequent area is 0.681. But the fact of the matter is that for wave 2, it can retrace even 99.99% as long as it doesn't equal the start of wave 1 and it's still valid wave 2. Although I haven't really seen that extreme here on crypto. I've seen that in equities. So usually after wave 1, wave 2 retraces 50% or 0.618 usually. That you can use that as a guideline when you're drawing your waves. Okay? The other guideline on the Fibonacci scale is if wave 3 is extended the longest between 1, 3, and 5, and I've said this before, you might remember, wave 1 usually is same as wave 5, or wave 5 is same as wave 1. So if you're starting to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and you see that 1 is much shorter than 3, and you see that 3 is going to be the likely extended wave, then you draw wave 5 approximately equal to wave 1. So the wave 1 and 5 tend to equality when wave 3 is extended. The next most common relationship is 0.618. Wave 5 will be 0.618 of wave 1. And usually you can get this, whether it'll be 1 to 1 or 0.681 to 1. Because if you feel that the vitality of the wave 5 going up is very weak and limping up and just crawling up, then more likely than not, you can draw wave 5 and project wave 5 to be equal to 0.618 of wave 1. But if you see good vitality, minimum would be wave 5 will equal wave 1. It'll be a 1-to-1 Fibonacci ratio. The next common will be 0.6, excuse me, 0.618 of 1. Okay? And all of these are in the book, the Elliott wave principle. You just have to memorize it and remember and recall it and apply it. And again, I don't take the Fibonacci chart and map everything out, take this and subtract that out, get the precise height. I did that in the beginning, and it doesn't have that much value. Okay? Now, okay, so wave 5 is about the same as wave 1. So how long is wave 3? How can you say, how long can I make wave 3? I mean, where do I stop here? where can I designate the top of wave 3? Well, wave 3 is usually when wave 3 is extended. Wave 3 is 1.618 the length of wave 1. Okay, so let's so here's 1 and 1.618. So I'll draw a line from here to the top of that. That's this represents 1.618, the height of 1. And I'm going to bring this over like so. So wave 3 should be here. This length of wave 3 is equal to the height of this, and the height of this is equal to the 1.618 of 1. Now I'm not writing these down so you can take notes, because if I type all of this, the video will get too long and it'll take forever to get updated, uploaded. So usually the height of wave 3, when wave 3 is extended, is 1.618 of wave 1. Okay, and the next most common length of wave 3 is 2.618 of wave 1. So I'm going to draw this up to 2.618. So this line represents 2.618 of the height of the price of wave 1. So that means if I see that wave 1 is done, wave 2, then prices just become gapping up. Prices are just orgasmically lunging. You know that you can project that it's going to be a lot more than just 1.618. You can project that this wave 5 is going to be really extended. And that's very common in equities. And that's what you call 3 of 3. Wave 3 of 3 is the most extended. It'll look like this. If I subdivide this wave 3, the 3 of 3, this 3 of this 3 wave will be most extended. Okay? This is also called 3 of 3. But I measure now 2.618 to be now equal. And when you have a really very extended 2.618 length of wave 3 compared to wave 1, the wave 4 here will be equal to the subsequent wave 4, usually. Again, I'm following that rule. Now, wave 4, so that's 3 to 1, wave 3, 1 relationship. Now let's go to wave 4 relationship to 3. As I've said before, wave 4 retraces to the wave 4 of prior wave, of lesser degree, this blue wave 4. But from a Fibonacci point of view, wave 4 is usually 0.382 of wave 3. So let me measure how long that is. So if this stick is the length of wave 3, then I'm going to do another stick equal to, sorry, wrong one, 382 of 3. So this vertical line, this stick, represents 0.382 of wave 3. That means if I put that here, this is where wave 4 should be. Do you see it? 0.382 of wave 3. Now, if we go back to here, and look at the relationship of wave 5, I said when wave 3 is extended, wave 5 and 1 tend to equality. That was the first one. And to be, it can go back and forth. Wave 5 could be 0.618 of wave 1 to just give barely a higher high. Wave 5 could be 0.382 of wave 1. In this case, you would call this a truncated wave 5, where the mojo to buy by the bulls just completely ran out, and it can't even get higher than that. It could also be that wave 4 is very shallow, and wave 5 is still 0.382 of wave 1. That's a feasibility too. Now, wave 5 could be 0.382 of 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 combined height. So I'm talking like this high. And the one I'm using here is called a Fibonacci retracement. That's the chart I use. And if I measure out the height of 0.382 for that, it'll be this. Do you see? And after you do this for a few weeks to months, whatever, you just get the hang of it, mostly. And then you can just eyeball at everything. Because like I said before, this precision is not what's important. The precision is, do you have the direction right? What's really important is not the precision of your count and your Fibonacci ratios. What's really important is, do you have your direction right? And does it jive with the chart pattern that you're drawing out? Are you able to sense the degree of vitality of the price move? Those soft attributes are more important than these harder attributes. I'm not saying this is insignificant, no. But you will make more money not by precision of Fibonacci, but by more of your accuracy of your soft attribute that you can identify from a direction, trend, vitality, and even some gut feeling. and the pattern. That's why I add chart pattern recognition, which is invaluable. Now, if you use only, there's a guy named Steve, I won't say his name, sorry. There's a guy named who uses anyone who uses nothing but Elliott waves, it has a very hard time, except a few, because they have, whether they agree or not, they're using a lot of the gut feeling and experience-based instincts, which also comes into play. Okay? Which is why I didn't do very well using just Elliott waves, and that's why I combined it with chart pattern recognition. Now here's the next one that comes really important for cryptos, and that is wave 5 extension. And we have seen a lot of wave 5 extensions. Let me see if I can pull one up. Hold on. Now here is a chart of Ethereum, where you can see, let me just do the wave count on this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I've said countless number of times that extended fifths in cryptos is very, very common. When neither wave 1 or 3 are the extended ones. By the time you see wave 5 being longer than wave 3, you should kind of be thinking, okay, this is going to be really, really extended. But from a Fibonacci point of view, when neither 1 or 3 is extended, wave 5 will be 1.618 of 1 to 3. Okay, and that's over here. And this is another point that I wanted to give you guys. This is sorry. The top of wave 5 here is never mind 1.61 and never mind 4.23 from the height of 1 to 3. This is gigantic. And it doesn't even fit to the guideline that Elliott wave principle provides. And this is another point that I wanted to give. You have to always remember that the guideline in the book, Elliott wave principles, it is meant for equities. It was also established, those guidelines, in the 1940s and 50s. And during that time, there was no central bank type of manipulation. Okay, I think it was in the maybe late 30s, 1930s or so when he wrote this, or early 40s, I can't remember. And in that time, there was no HFT, high frequency trading. There were no mutual funds, there were no ETFs, etc. So it was a different time and different era. So slightly apples to oranges, even when equities compared to then to now. Now, when you're trying to use guidelines that were established for equities and you're trying now to use that Fibonacci guideline for cryptos, it isn't going to work. I tried. That's why I've always said from 2 months ago, so 3 months ago when I first started, I'm taking data and notes on the personality attributes of cryptos. And one of the attributes is that I found very frequent occurrence of extended fives on daily scale, not so much on sub-daily scale. Most of the extended fives are on daily scales. And these extended fives are no joke. I mean, the immensity of this length compared to the height of 1 to 3 it's not even funny. It doesn't even adhere to any of the guidelines for the equity-based Fibonacci wave-to-wave relationship. So in this case, the 1 to 3 was barely 0.236 of the whole rise. And the only thing that to be honest, I don't have enough data to give you a guideline on the ratio, Fibonacci ratio relationship of an extended fifth. But I can probably give you the fold guideline. And that is okay, if this is twofold, this is fourfold, and I'm just eyeballing it. Six and a half fold of wave one, and that is just immense. The other thing I wanted to point out is what you see here on wave 5. It's amazing, a sight to behold. This is what I call a geyser-like blow-off topping on an extended fifth. And going back to Bitcoin here, that's kind of what I'm expecting for this fifth wave to extend. There's 5 to really extend 15K or so. That'll be a sight to behold. That's the nature of fifth wave that I'd like to see for Bitcoin to put in its cycle level top. Just like this. That would be very impressive. Now let's go to BTC. That was what, 6.5 fold, right? Okay. Wave 3 is here, right? This is 2. I'm not being precision oriented here. I'm just eyeballing it. Don't have to be that precision accurate. I've already kind of explained why. That's 4, 2, and then now. Oh, shoot. I stretched it. That's 4. That brings us to 17,000. Okay, and you can do your math if you want on your own to see if that has a Fibonacci relationship, and I'm sure it probably does. This is where I think, now this is if you measure from the bottom of that. Now, one more step to go. That's not the top. This is 6. I didn't make 6.5. That's 6 times the height from wave 1 primary to 3.5. I'm just going to eyeball it. Okay. Color this blue. Put this on top of wave 3. And we get 22,435. And I have a feeling that Tom Lee was kind of doing this on CNBC. That's how he comes up with his 25K. Do you follow? That means what you're going to see is, it's hard to draw this on the way. Move that over. See if I can draw this to depict it. That has a potential. Wave 5 in this case will be extended. Sorry. So we could be looking at, let's say, 22, 23K. Am I making this as a projection? No. No, I'm not making this as a projection right now. Could be. But I'm only showing you the relationship of here. 6.5, wave 5 was 6.5 fold of the price height of wave 1 to 3. If you go to here, wave 3, 1, 2, 3 looks minuscule. Just like it looks here. Looks minuscule. And then this shoot up could make it happen. It might sound crazy, but I think from a ratio point of view, it makes sense, especially if we are on extended wave 5 on a daily scale. I'm sorry, I made a mistake here. I should be putting this at the bottom of 4. Well, no, I did the same comparison. They're on each the same way. It was from the wave top 3. Top of wave 3. I think this is pretty exciting though. So I went through a whole bunch of Fibonacci ratios and how the Fibonacci is calculated. I gave you the guidelines, the basic guidelines of how each wave has Fibonacci relationship. But I need to re-emphasize those guidelines are made for equities from the 1930s. They're not made with the personality types and attributes of cryptos, which has very distinct type of wave personalities. So I wouldn't take it as exact transfer guidelines. It's a good guideline to look at and have. But if you try to do a cookie cutter application of those guidelines into cryptos, you're going to get burnt. More often than not, it's not going to work. It's like trying to a 300-person man trying to put on a 185-pound person's pants. It just looks kind of silly. Or the other way around. Doesn't matter. And what I'm trying to do is I want to see what can I do that is most specific for cryptos. And I'm collecting data on that. But it'll take years and months of data collection to determine the guidelines. Okay? I hope this has been helpful. Bit of a long video, but I hope it has been a good tutorial on how I use Fibonacci's. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to let me know. Thank you.